I'm Dr. Linda Gromko, and this is Transgender Medicine Made Simple. Today we're looking at a question of the week, and that is, where can I get needles and syringes for my hormone injections? So this question comes from somebody who says, I never get enough needles and syringes along with my hormone medication prescriptions. Why can't I just buy them online? Now, I've heard this from people before, that a patient will get only 1 or 2 syringes and needles when they pick up their prescriptions. So what can they do? Well, first of all, let's look at the syringes and needles that are generally required. First of all, syringes come in various sizes, usually 1 to 3 cc's. A cc is the same as a milliliter. Cc stands for cubic centimeter, which is the same as 1 milliliter. But that's the size that's generally needed. And a luer lock syringe will screw onto the syringe, and it's more secure than something called a slip tip. Needles come in several different sizes. The first criteria is length. For subcutaneous injections under the skin, the length is usually 5/8 of an inch. For an IM or intramuscular injection, the length is usually 1 to 1.5 inches. But then we have something called gauge. Now, a gauge is a measurement of the width, the bore of the needle. An 18 gauge needle is 1/18 of an inch in size. So 18 gauge needles are larger. They are usually used as transfer needles to draw medication up out of a vial, and then the needle is switched out to something that's more civilized to put in your skin. 25 gauge needle is often used for subcutaneous injections. A smaller gauge will mean slower injection speed. Now, we know that the gauge of needles can go much smaller than that. Some of our SubQ needles, for example, are now 30 or 31 gauge, and they are very, very tiny and usually not very painful to inject, but they are very, very slow. We also see 22 or 23 gauge needles used for in the muscle or intramuscular injection. So what happens if you order needles or syringes from a large online retail site? Well, I tried this, and on one of our well-known sites, they specified this needle is ideal for scientific experiment, plant nutrition solution injections, measuring and dispensing fluid, ink refilling, and applying glue for adhesives, etc. So they're not really specifying that this is for medical use. Well, would this matter at all? Well, it may not. However, you may want to order supplies that are designated for medical use. What I would do is find a reputable brand that manufactures the supplies. For example, BD or Becton Dickinson and Company needles are very commonly used and really are considered to be industry standard. And find also a supply house that distributes these. So the BD company has a supply house. McKesson, Western Medical, and Medline are places that have these. And if you buy them at places like Costco, just make certain that they are authorized for medical use. Now, do you need a prescription? In my experience, generally not, although I have heard that in some places you do, so check ahead of time. Whenever you're using syringes and needles, you will also need a sharps container for disposing the needles that you've used. You can buy them from the pharmacy. Those are the ones that are shown at left. And then you can also buy them from the company Stealth Bros & Co. And they have wonderful supplies specifically for the trans community. And these are helpful tips for where you can find those. So go onto their website and see what you can find. I hope this information is helpful for you today. If so, please like the video and do subscribe to my channel, Transgender Medicine Made Simple. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. If you have a question that you would like to submit, please do so in the comment section below, and I can hopefully get to it at a later session. Thanks again.